everyone, Spitter here, and welcome back to another Marvel Rivals concept video. I plan on starting the Sinister 6 concept series today, but I came up with a concept that I'm so excited to bring to you guys that I just had to push back the Sinister Saga. And this concept that I absolutely cooked with is a Giant Man and the Wasp concept. I chose Giant Man rather than Ant-Man simply because I think I could do more with Giant Man because his powers would be opposite to Wasp, rather than just having two shrinking characters. Also, both Ant-Man and Giant Man are the same person anyway, so it doesn't really matter. My goals for the heroes are to make them both effective and useful as equally as possible, because ideally they'd play like Cloak and Dagger, who are a 2-in-1 hero as well, which you can swap between them. However, Cloak is probably only used like 10% of the time, unless you're in Bronze, in which Dagger is only used 10% of the time. Like, at that point, just pick Scarlet Witch. Stop edging me into thinking you're going to heal me. That being said, I want to get closer to a 50-50 average use time between Janet and Hank here, with them being a Vanguard strategist hybrid as opposed to a strategist duelist hybrid, which I think is a step in the right direction if that's my goal. And I'd say their main role would be as a tank, just as Cloak and Dagger's main role is as a support. This is a different style of concept video compared to my previous ones due to the 2-in-1 nature, so I'll start with Giant Man and go over his abilities first, and then I'll go to Wasp. So starting off this 2-in-1 special, we got Giant Man's primary fire. Giant Man simply punches people with his fist, and hit enemies are inflicted with ants. Ants will slowly eat away at opponent's bonus health, and Hank gains it instead. This gives him a unique way of tanking, albeit matchup dependent. I absolutely think he would rinse a Thor, Magic, Venom, or Bucky in a 1v1 due to this, and an enemy ulting Cap might as well tell you to assemble with the amount of bonus health you'll take from him. His first ability has him use his blue Pim Disc, which is a projectile that deals AoE damage and knocks people back. This can also be detonated mid-flight, and if it is detonated prematurely, the knockback to enemies is increased. His second ability turns him from slightly large man into Giant Man. Believe it or not, despite being called Giant Man, I don't have him giant all the time. For one, it would almost be impossible to move around the map, and two, because you'd be the biggest target ever. It couldn't be balanced, but don't worry though. Base Giant Man would still be Hulk-sized to warrant the Vanguard role. But once you activate Giant Mode, he grows bigger of course and gains a ton of bonus health for a few seconds. Also, while Giant Man's primary fire turns into an AoE ground slam that knocks people towards him. And he can target flyers and slam them to the ground like Hulk. Like, he's kind of just picking him out of the sky and be like, go into the ground, buddy. I just thought of the perfect transition into Wasp. A literal transition. Because of course, the swap would be an ability like it is with Cloak and Dagger. The only difference is that when you swap between them, their health either doubles or halves depending on who you're swapping to. For example, if you swap to Hank, your current health doubles. If you swap to Janet, your current health halves. I don't think there's an infinite health exploit here, but I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to accomplish here with this. Also, to get a bit extra, I think it would be cool animation-wise if you could see the other flying around one another when playing as them, and the animation of swapping, of course, would be them shrinking and growing. Wasp's primary fire has her shootout bioelectric blast that can damage enemies and heal allies. These are fast-moving projectiles that cannot headshot. Wasp's first ability utilizes the red Pim Disc, which is an opposite to Hank's blue disc, as it actually affects allies. Instead of knocking them away like the blue disc, the red disc actually is an AoE pull, and it can be activated early mid-flight. This can also give some AoE healing as well as the pull. This of course can be a bit trolly and can lead to some accidental I help the enemy team moments, but it can also lead to some big brain plays of saving teammates, for example, pulling them if they fall off the map or pulling them if they get hooked by a Bucky. It's not the strongest pull and requires a lot of skill and accuracy to pull off, so I think it's pretty balanced when you compare it to something like Lifeweaver's pull from Overwatch. Now's the perfect time to also mention that Wasp is a permanent flight hero, meaning just like Torch, Iron Man, and Storm, she can only fly. We don't have a permanent flight support, so this could be a very interesting way to play and makes her red disc a little more reliable to pull off saves, as most of them will pull the allies upwards. Wasp's main thing is her ability to shrink, and as a flight hero, you really want to be aerodynamic or mobile. Luckily, this ability gives Wasp both of these benefits. She shrinks down, making her super hard to hit and is able to fly faster for a few seconds. While shrinking, however, she cannot shoot or use the red disc. She also can't contest objectives while shrinking. For their first team up, I'm basically giving them a team up I thought would be cool for Iron Man, which of course is the Avengers team up. Giant Man and Wasp are the anchors here, and this team up would solve the main issue with a full Avengers comp of having no support or sustain. Giant Man and Wasp being half support would help, but certainly not solve the issue. So this team up would allow its members to give themselves a burst heal of 50% of their missing health. This wouldn't outright fix the comp, but it'd definitely make it more playable in my opinion. For their second team up, I'll be throwing them into the Spider-Man and Squirrel team up, where both Hank and Janet have a shared web disc ability that acts like the red and blue disc, as it can be detonated early and inflicts an AoE 30% slow for like 2 seconds give or take. Their ultimate has Giant Man turn giant and grab everyone in reach, including allies. Hank holds everyone hostage and can walk around. While holding him, Wasp shoots everyone, dealing 100 damage to enemies and healing 100 health to allies. The ult's length solely depends on the amount of people grabbed and cannot be cancelled or stunned out of it, but he can be killed, of course. Hank can contest the objective while holding, by the way, which I think is balanced in that he's fucking huge and he can't release allies like Jeff. And that's my concept for Giant Man and the Wasp. Honestly, if you were to ask me if I could add any tank to the game, who it would be, before this concept I would have probably said Shumagorath. But now after this, if Giant Man and Wasp were to be implemented similar to this, I think I might have to say Giant Man or Wasp now. Depends on the one I'm feeling that day, I guess. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you see yourself playing one more than the other, or do you think you'd be swapping between them constantly as intended? Also, let me know any other characters you want me to create content for in the comments as well. I'll be doing the Sinister 6 up next as a heads up, so I'd like to have like a 6 uninterrupted concept mini-series, if that makes sense. But after that, I'll make sure to create said concepts as requested. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and goodbye.